Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jay's Fifth Down Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jay and Gay, of course, here with Rusty Byrd again. Just hoping everybody had a great Christmas, great holidays as we now are heading to the final stages of the 2022 NFL season. Rusty, before we get started, man, how was your Christmas?
Man, it's been great so far. I was blessed to be able to see my mom. Went down to see my family in Hampton, and then my brother went to his house with all the kids, the cousins, my nieces and nephews got to hang out with my kids, and now we're in South Carolina in Myrtle Beach, just relaxing for the week. So it's been a blessing. How
Yeah.
about you?
Oh yeah, it was great, man. It was great. It's very cold, obviously, but it was pretty good. Good time to spend with the family and everything. So we enjoyed it. So I hope everybody had a great Christmas. But as we get
Oh,
into
great.
it here, Rusty, news just broke out yesterday that after a disastrous start in Denver, as we predicted, as I know I predicted, Nathaniel Hackett was fired yesterday. He joins Urban Meyer as the only other coach to be fired in such a short span. So that's saying something right there. As we remember, Urban coached the Jaguars last year. So, what's your whole thoughts on this,
hmm
man? Did you see it coming this quick?
You know, um, it's funny. I didn't quite see this coming, especially before the season ended. My son, who loves NFL football, I got an alert on my phone, and my son and I heard him in the other room like, "Yes, I called it." He was like,
Yeah.
"I knew they were going to fire him. I knew they were going to fire him." And my thought was um, to maybe see if they can give him the full year. But after it's not just that they're losing, but it's how they're losing, and it's also he's Russell Wilson hasn't played great, but also this guy was the offensive coordinator, and so the offense isn't putting out points, and so I think it came down to do you get rid of bench or get rid of Russell Wilson, which you can't because of that big contract, and was it easier to replace Nathaniel Hackett? So I think yes, I was surprised it happened before the end of the year, but not surprised that he got fired.
Yeah, I agree. And as you mentioned, not just the fact that they're losing, but how they're losing, right? The offense struggling to put up any points. You got a lot of penalties and guys just not knowing what's going on. Just a lot of discombobulation on the field that I've noticed. And of course, Russell Wilson's play has been a big question among many around the league. And the coaches are
hmm
just wondering what's going on with him. I mean, what's the deal with Russell Wilson been this year, man? I just got to ask straight up, like, what do you think?
yeah, you know. Again, I think I mentioned this to you before. I'm a big Russell Wilson fan just because he's from Virginia. Um, I went to college in Richmond, and he was born and raised there. His grandfather was the president of Norfolk State. I have a lot of family that's attended there, so I've rooted for him since NC State, Wisconsin days, and was very happy when they won the Super Bowl. I think what's kind of happened is Russ. So it's a combination of his skills looking like they've diminished. He's in a new system, and some of his personality is being called out. And what I mean by that is um, Russell is just full of QB speak, and he doesn't. In a lot of his takes and the way he carries himself, it seems like he's not very genuine. It just seems like you're getting like the politically correct answer, and we feel like a lot of people don't really know Russell Wilson, or that is Russell Wilson and he's just a corny dude. Now, I think I think Russell Wilson. Um, what I think is wrong is that one, he's getting older, but he's also in a new system, and um, I don't think that he understood how well Seattle's coaching staff built and created a system around him. They took advantage of his qualities, and I think he kind of thought that he was much more of the reason Seattle was having success. And to go there, it was just different. And I think he eventually started to crumble under the pressure. it kept mounting. Like the first game or two, you think, oh, eventually he'll turn around. Oh, he'll turn around. And he never really did. I think he's had one decent game. And then after this last game, I think it was just like the GM and folks are saying, like, we have to make some change. We have to try.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, I'm not. So everybody knows, I'm not bashing Russell Wilson on this podcast. Okay, I love Russell Wilson. I think he's a great dude. God fearing man. I respect that about him. He's
Yep.
a humble dude as well. I think he's very talented. Obviously, I mean, the man's a Super Bowl champion. However, again, you cannot. You just can't, despite the fact that he just hasn't had a good season. It's just been really subpar, very bad. And and like you said, Denver locked him up to that big deal, so they really are kind of stuck in the blender here. And you traded away those draft picks, those players for him. So it's like you hope whoever this new coach is can come in and turn this around. For his sake. So
Yeah. I also think, what adds to this is, like you said, like they gave up a lot for him. First round draft picks. He's got all this money, and so that sets your expectations really high. But what I think as fans, we should also look, and then as analysts of the sport of football, and that's something you are at this point an expert because you spent a lot of time researching, watching, and understanding the game. I would say we also have to know our history. And let's not just blame Russell Wilson or even Nathaniel Hackett. I think we have to go back to John Elway, having been a leader of this organization and really doing a poor job of hiring coaches and finding quarterbacks. You would think one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time would be able to find a better athletes to play that position. And, I don't know if it's just because he doesn't really know how to evaluate talent, or he just is like, this is the name that's popular now. But he hasn't had success in the draft or trades. The only one was Peyton Manning,
yeah,
who came in and did work. And then Peyton took a drastic drop, but they still won the Super Bowl with Peyton. But I think we got to look back at organizationally, what's going on there? Why can't Denver find a quarterback?
yeah, it's been an issue. I mean, they've had them and the Colts, two teams that have struggled to find consistent pieces
Yes.
at quarterback for the last couple of years. It's been a very big problem for the Broncos. I mean, you go back after Peyton Manning left in 16, it really has just been a whirlwind of quarterbacks come through there. So I mean, I couldn't even tell you all of them. But it's been
Now,
tough.
I want you to think about what you just said. You mentioned two organizations, and the common theme is that they both had Peyton Manning. Think about that.
Hey, hey,
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
yeah, yeah. But Colts did have Andrew Luck for some time, but he stepped away. So, but still speaking on the quarterback spectrum here, with the Jets and Zach Wilson, this has been another big topic going throughout the NFL, the NFL media right now with Zach, and a lot of questions that everybody's asking, which I'm going to continue to ask you, is is he done in New York?
So I think that Zach may be done in New York. But I don't think he's done for his career. He clearly has talent to be the number 2 overall pick, to have put up the stats he did in college, and he was a great college quarterback. But you gotta carry yourself a little different, man, and you gotta be that dude if you're gonna be a quarterback in New York. you know,
Yeah,
like what I was saying is like, everybody don't want that smoke, okay? And I'm saying not just in football, but basketball players, baseball players, like everything is illuminated with that media and that whole environment. And I think what Zach has done is not just played bad. I think the thing that has hurt him, it's kind of like Russell Wilson. It's the stuff also outside of football. Like he doesn't seem to have leadership skills or his attitude. Like, what are you talking about? It's not my fault, And that's not going to endear you to your teammates. It's not going to endear you to the guys blocking for you because it's not all about you, bro. I think let me say this. I think it's tough for him because they lost the rookie running back,
Yeah.
the Jets.
Brees Hall.
When he was healthy, yeah, they were winning and looked really good, and they had one of the leading, rushing offenses in the NFL. And so I think if they were able to not let him have to be a focus, if they could still run the ball, not just okay, but extremely effectively, he wouldn't be required to do so much or feel like he has to do so much. So I think, a lot of people are saying he may have to go. I would look, you put a lot into making him the number 2 pick. I would give him one more year, and I would, in the offseason, realize that, okay, this is the real Zach Wilson we got. Like, he doesn't really have all the leadership. Maybe we can do this and we can do some things. Maybe hire a coordinator from BYU to come in and help him. Maybe one of his quarterback coaches or somebody that knows how to get the best out of him. And just see, because let me tell you something, man. When it comes to quarterback, and I played a little bit in high school, and it's not the same, but I played quarterback for 20 years in men's flag football leagues. And you do have to have a certain amount of leadership, knowledge of the game, and your teammates have to rely and trust you. I played high school football with a lot of great players and went on to play, Division I professional football. And then I played flag football with some of the best teams in the state of Virginia, quarterback guys that played in Penn State, UNC, played arena football, played pro football. And it didn't matter. I was the quarterback. I was the captain. And it didn't matter that this dude was a high school head football coach or this, like, they had enough confidence in me to listen and do what I thought was going to work, whether it was the play calling or the practices. And so, but if I ever lost that respect, like, it's time for somebody else to do it.
Yeah, understood.
And yeah, so I think he should get another year. I would say, see if you can work a game plan around him, because that same guy that was kind of like a jerk to play. He's also a very cocky kid from what I remember seeing him in college. And maybe it's a confidence thing. And when that confidence gets broken or well, then like he doesn't know how to respond. So maybe if he can get the confidence back, his whole game will prosper.
Yeah, I think the big thing about it is too, with the Jets being the way they have been for quite some time now, and you bring in a high draft pick like Zach Wilson into this state, to this team, to this franchise, and it's a lot of pressure too. I think that's another aspect that maybe not a lot of people are looking at too. I mean, you're supposed to be the guy. This, this is it can be something to because everybody's looking at him to be the next cornerstone to help change this team around. They're like, when they got to get a quarterback, right? When is this team going to get a quarterback? So that's just how I look at it too.
The other thing I would say is this: look, the Jets are 7-8. If you told the Jet fans last year this time or in the summer, hey, next year after 15 games, you're going to be 7-8, I think most of them would have taken it, just based on the Jets' history. The problem is they started out so poorly that, they started out so well, the expectations got ramped up, and you're like, wait a minute, we've beaten the Patriots, we've beaten Buffalo, we've beaten these teams, like, oh snap, like we're going to have a great year. And then when they started losing, and it didn't help that when Mike White did play, he played well, it made everybody go, wait a minute, he's not a leader, we're losing. And so I'll put it this way. The Jets are 7-8. They started winning early, now they're losing now. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 7-8. And everybody thinks Trevor Lawrence is this great quarterback. It's like, and Trevor was the number one overall pick, and two guys that came in at the same time. They have the same record this year, and I would say let it all kind of play out. It's just because now the Jaguars are playing well. Had it been flipped and the Jets were playing well, they would be like, "Oh, Zach's our man." So let's just see. They have the same record, but it's a totally different perspective. The other thing is the media in New York dictates a lot of that. I'm sure the media in Jacksonville is just happy, 500, and it may be an opportunity to win the division.
Yeah, definitely. As you and I both know, that New York media is something else for their sports teams. So, we know that with the Knicks, right, in the NBA. So,
oh yeah.
But
and ask the Brooklyn Nets too. Ask the media about KD and Kyrie. Yeah,
man, it's it's something. So yeah, man, like you said, Jets, Jaguars, two teams that are still trying to fight for those playoff spots. So it's this as we wind down here these next couple of weeks, it's gonna be really interesting. We had some really good games over the weekend. On Christmas weekend, most notably, I think everybody was talking about the Cowboys and the Eagles, right? That was a big primetime game over the weekend, and it was a good game. What were your just takeaways on that, man? How did the Eagles fare without Jalen Hurts, and and then as far as the Cowboys, what's going on with them? I mean, can they make a push?
So it's funny. I have grown up hating the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, hating them, but I found myself like players over the years. Like you're too young for this, but I like Roger Staubach. I liked Tony Dorsett. Or I liked Emmitt Smith. I like certain players, or I like when Dion was there. But overall, as an organization, when you grew up in the '70s, it was like the Steelers or the Cowboys versus the Redskins, and you couldn't. Like I was the Redskins Steelers camp, and so I hated the Cowboys. But I'll say this, and I might have said this to you on your show as well. I like Dak Prescott. I do. I find myself kind of pulling for him. I love Micah Parsons. Like he went to Penn State and was balling, So I like him, and I don't want Dallas to win, but they did. But I tell you, if I'm Dallas, I would be a little concerned because Gardner Minshew is the backup, and they had a legitimate shot to win that game.
They did.
Okay. They had a very legitimate shot. And so I'm thinking, and what was that game in Dallas? It was in Dallas.
Yes.
It was in Dallas. So they went on the road without their possible MVP quarterback and had a chance to win the game with their backup. So I think it tells me, first of all, if I'm the Eagles, you got first locked up. You're going to play at home all playoffs. I wouldn't be too worried about it. I'd let my quarterback get healthy, and I'd start to maybe sit other players that need to rest.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as you said, that game was very just high octane, and the fact that even when Dallas went down the field, they were just crushing that Philly defense. But Minshew came in, he responded. They responded. It took him a while, but he got into the flow of it. Devontae Smith had some big catches as well, and Miles Sanders had a good game on the ground. So it was a very level game. Obviously both defenses didn't play as well, which does, if I'm a Dallas fan or a Philly fan, I am a little bit concerned about the defensive woes there. And so that is something I'd be concerned about. But other than that, man, so I mean, yeah, it's crazy, man. So I think the Eagles, yeah.
Can I ask? I know this is your show, but I got one more quarterback question.
It's okay.
Same class. No, I'm sorry, year before. He came out a year before. Your thoughts on Miami and Tua?
Listen, I love Tua. I'm an Alabama fan, so he's my guy. Just don't ask, man. That's just my team. I know. I just love the way that they.
You like? Wait, hold on. We got to stop the show. Stop the show. you like Alabama better than Georgia or equal?
No, better, whole lot better. I can't stand Georgia. I despise
Oh
Georgia.
wow. Okay, we'll have to do another show on that. Go ahead. Okay. No, I say
But
that because my son loves Alabama too.
yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, Tua is he's my guy. I've always loved him, man. I always think he's been a great humble kid and everything, and I think the Dolphins
Hmm.
kind of his first 2 years it just didn't go as well. And people were wondering, it's like, okay, what's the deal with him? Like, does Miami possibly move on from him? But then you bring in Mike McDaniel, as we talked about here on this show before. He's done a great job this year with that team. I got to give my credit to Mike McDaniel as well, and the way he's been able to help, strengthen Tua's, traits and everything like that, and receivers he's put in that on that field with Tua. But the thing about it is the concussions, man. I don't know. It's his second one he's gotten this year. That's concerning if I'm Tua.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, and
Yeah. Like you. I like Tua, but also I like Gina Hurt better. And so what I mean by that is in college, when Tua came in and won, I was like, oh, come on. So I mean, they pulled Jalen. I mean, they won, but I like Jalen Hurts, and so not that I hate Tua because I like his brother because his brother plays for my wife's school, University of Maryland. So I like some of the Tua family. But let me just say this: I think. He is. I think this is the problem. Football fans, when somebody's doing great, I think they give too much credit, and then when things are going bad, they want to blame them too much. I think Tua is just a good quarterback, not great. Not he wasn't going to be the MVP this year. He's come back down, but I think his health. They were saying he possibly got a concussion in that game, and that could have impacted his play in that game. And then the multiple concussions can really um, can add up to make a lot of things look bad. The other thing you got to think about is maybe the league is catching up to McDaniel. I don't know. You never know. This is his first year coach. Like he doesn't get to skate and not be held accountable for some of this as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And like you say, it's just been one of those things, man. This year, and NFL is, of course, trying to place more emphasis on quarterback safety, and things of that nature, just safety in general for the game. And so in the protocols, they had some questionable things going on with it earlier in the year. When Tua first entered the protocol, there was a lot of discussion going on there of how fast they brought him back and all that stuff. And so
Hmm.
I'm sure
Hmm.
this time around, he has been, but per Mike McDaniel, he has been placed in the protocol. So his status right now is unknown as far as any potential playing next week. So we'll update you guys on that when we hear news. But other than that, man, yeah, I think these next couple weeks are very serious for a lot of teams, especially those teams that fighting for those spots. Man, NFC is still pretty open. AFC as well. I mean, so are you still sticking
Yeah.
with your teams coming out? Do you think who? Okay, let me ask you this: who are your sleeper teams coming into this year's playoffs? Who do you think's gonna slide into those final spots?
So I think I can't ever count out New England. Like they're sitting right there at the edge, and they, I believe, what is their overall record? I don't know
I
why
believe
I
they're
don't
seven and
have that
seven.
right now.
I think they're 7-7.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, yes, no, they're actually 7-8. So they
Okay,
have the
okay.
same record as the Jets, and but it's funny in their division they're listed above the Jets, but in the playoff rankings, they're behind. Like if the playoff started today, the Jets would be in, and it looks like New England might be out. I don't know, but what I'd say in terms of who I think can sneak in or have some success and do something. Um, I think that Miami. Oh, I'm sorry. So Miami is 8-7, and New England is 7-8. So that's why we see my sevens and eights backwards. I think Miami though, if they can stay in, I think that Miami is a team that could cause some damage. And the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are 7-8. They're starting to figure some things out. Okay, with a rookie quarterback, and they have Watt back, and so T.J. Watt. So you got an experienced coach who has never had a losing season. ever. So he's got two more games to still finish 9-8 or so to finish 9-8. And so Steelers will be the team in the AFC for me. And then in the NFC, I would say I wouldn't count out Tom Brady. I know he's played bad. I know they haven't looked good, but he's still a GOAT.
Yes, he is. And like as you mentioned, the NFC South right now is one of those divisions where really Carolina and Tampa Bay are right there, and I think they do play this
Mm-hmm.
upcoming week. So that's going to be a
Yeah.
huge game as far as seeding. And then Tampa Bay, of course, plays Atlanta in the last game of the season here. So
Mm-hmm.
if they want to get, they got to win these next two games, and Carolina, of course, same way. So and then you got Washington there as well. It's just I don't know, man. A lot of these teams have been playing good football as of late, just at the right times. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're figuring it out. So it's gonna be interesting.
Can I ask your opinion on one last thing? And I know it's your show, we can wrap it up.
No,
But based on some of the things you're saying, who would you nominate right now? We don't know what's going to happen next 2 games as your coach of the year.
my coach of the year. Um, see, I won't say Nick Sirianni because that would be the easy choice because the Eagles have the best record, right? It was like, man, Nick Sirianni, he's done a great job, and he has. They just that whole Philly staff or front office, they've done a great job building that team, developing Jalen Hurts and those guys there. But my coach of the year, man, I don't know, man. That's a really good question. I mean, that is a good question. I think I would have to give it to. I don't know, man. I don't have an answer. I don't know. Man. I would say Robert Saleh, but they've kind of been the record. That's the only thing that would hurt his case.
Right, right. So a couple of thoughts on that. If, of course, Philly, but two coaches, I think. Shanahan, those 49ers have played well. Now, granted, they were in the Super Bowl a few years ago, but they made some adjustments, and I like what they've done. Like they've overtaken the Rams and the Cardinals and everybody out there, Seattle, and they're 11-4, okay, without their first and second string quarterback.
Yes, Brock Purdy.
Okay, their starting quarterback went down. I don't know, was it before the season even started or the first game? Maybe I can't remember. But then you get Garoppolo. Now the thing is, he's been in that system, but he was not on the roster. Comes in, plays well enough to have that thing going. They make the move of picking up McCaffrey, and now they're down to their third string quarterback, and they're 11-4. So I got to give Shanahan a lot of credit for that. And then my other thought for consideration for coach of the year would be the coach in Carolina, the coach that came in after they got Steve Wilkes. Now, I knew some guy's name that was also a guy that had a TV show, Steve Wilkes, who I thought unfairly got kicked out of Phoenix, after just 1 year. And so I think Wilkes should be able to keep that job and see what he can do, building his own staff and helping get his own players. Because I think for the fact that they're 6-9 and in the chase, you got to give them some credit.
Yeah, most definitely. So, yeah, man, it's going to be very interesting playoffs come here these next couple weeks. So these are going to be very important. We're just going to watch out how they play, and I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you guys also catch the Peach Bowl this weekend.
Yeah.
And those guys in there in college football, make sure you catch that Georgia Ohio State from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's going to be a really good game. And thank you guys for watching. Rusty, I thank you for coming on, man, and just chopping it up with us here on the podcast, as always. And,
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And make sure you guys just have a great rest of your holidays and have a Happy New Year.
One thing I want to say, a lot of people, I want you guys to not just watch the show, but do my man and this show a favor and subscribe. Subscribe, comment. I know Jaden would like to hear the comments, whether they're for him or against his thoughts on something. I don't mind. Tell me to say, hey, that Rusty Byrd dude sucks. Get him out of there. I don't, whatever. Or say how great I am. But, okay, he's doing a great job. bringing in a lot of guests, but he has great opinions and it's really studied the game. So you can help him out by subscribing to the show.
Yes, please make sure you guys do that and check us out on all streaming podcast platforms. Thank you guys again, Rusty. You have a great day, man. Take care.
Okay. God bless you and thank you again.
Yes, sir.